you sitting comfortably?
And we're in another episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably has begun. My name is Roo. You're listening to Are You Sitting Comfortably on eastlondonradio.org.uk. How are you, Scott?
I am very well, thank you, Roo. It's lovely to see you again.
It's lovely to see you, and I'm sure for our listeners at home and on the bus and on the boat.
Every flipping where nowadays.
We live in the future.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's lovely for them to hear you.
Oh, I like to think so. You know,
Yeah.
I put on my Sunday best voice when I come on the radio.
What's your Sunday best voice?
Oh, this is my
And
Sunday
don't come
best.
on the radio.
Oh.
It's a midday show.
Oh, it's very exciting.
Inappropriate joke there.
Well.
Anybody think we're reviewing Vacation this week?
Oh, was that last week?
That
It
was.
It was 2 weeks ago because we had last week off because it was bank holiday.
Yes, it was.
But
yes.
we're back now.
Apologies for that.
Well.
But we're re-energized.
We are. I've had a coffee. I'm feeling a little bit vibratey. It's going to get a bit weird later, I think.
I too have had a coffee, a quiche, and a tea.
Good Lord.
And I smell of James Bond.
Ooh. Have
Yes.
you been rubbing up against him?
Not this week, no. What I did do, though, was find a reduced Christmas box set of the James Bond fragrance in Boots for just £9.
And what does James Bond smell of? I would imagine it's hookers and gin, or vodka he has, doesn't he? So I would imagine it's hookers and vodka.
No, I'm trying to...
Kind of sweat.
You know when you're in a queue for a club and you get lots of different smells all together and you think, that's a lovely concoction.
Yeah.
He sort of smells of a concoction.
So, right. So he smells like a lot of people going to a club.
Nice club. We're not talking
Okay.
shabby place.
Well, I don't go to nice clubs.
So you wouldn't know.
No.
No, but it does smell like they've, to come up with the smell, they were in the laboratory. I don't know why I extended the word to quite such a degree. What's wrong with me? With like Harry Potter potions class, I can imagine that. Well, that must be the case for every fragrance, surely.
With Alan Rickman standing in the background telling everyone to turn to page 634.
Oh, precisely. Is James Bond the only movie character who has a fragrance out at the moment? Or can you think of another? Does Snape have a fragrance?
I don't think so. I can't, off the top of my head. I didn't even know James Bond had a fragrance.
Oh, no, he
out.
does. He's got 3, and he's got one for the ladies as well.
Good Lord. So smell like James Bond's lady, smell like sweat and regret and death.
I suppose it would smell like a Bond girl before James Bond's had a go on her, so to speak.
Dear Lord.
I'm very much looking forward to Spectre. And that's another excuse to release another fragrance. But we're not talking about Spectre.
Not today.
Although,
What?
it might sort of fit in, because the Spectre trailer was sort of scary.
A little bit, yes.
It was a bit dark and spooky.
Today's theme, we should really talk about today's theme. We're only 10 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's
we?
fine.
Oh, good Lord, we are. Death.
Yes. Hooray!
So we lost a rather magnificent gentleman, didn't we?
We did. Well, I didn't lose him. We, as a human race, lost the amazing and talented and thoroughly scary Wes Craven early this week.
Who produced such classics as... when I say produced, he did it all, didn't he?
Yeah, well, Nightmare on Elm Street, The Screams.
Yes, the Screams, including the latest Scream, which was a scream.
And Swamp Thing, one of his 70s ones. I love a good old... one of his early works was 70s style Swamp Thing. I love really bad horror and sci-fi. I love bad special effects, things like that. And not one of his, but Brain Dead.
Not heard of that.
Oh, have you not? Oh, it's brilliant. It's a zombie movie. Towards the end, without wanting to spoil it too much, the hero attacks a rampaging horde of zombies by strapping a Flymo to his chest and running at them.
Lovely.
It holds the world record for the most fake blood used in a film. It's amazing.
As opposed to the most real blood.
Well,
used?
quite, yeah. But no, let's focus a little more on Wes Craven.
Well, I was having a look through his list of bits and trying to find something that wasn't scary, and I have found one: Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color. That's all I can find.
Oh.
He was director of that.
Right.
Yeah, but the rest is all terrifying. You got all the Nightmares on Elm Street's writer for that. Hills Have Eyes. Obviously, all the screams, as we say. Vampire in Brooklyn. The Serpent and the Rainbow. I don't know. That could be nice or nasty.
Well, Vampire in Brooklyn, I remember being. Was that the one with? I want to say Eddie Murphy or something like that. Possibly.
Oh, I don't know.
Possibly.
Let me click
Maybe
it.
Not. Oh, am I being horribly racist here? I seem to remember it being.
Oh no! Yes, imagine. No, that's Eddie Murphy.
Oh, thank God! I didn't
Thank
want
good
to be
Lord.
being
Thank
horribly
goodness.
racist. There it was a film I saw like in my. I was probably about 12, and it's kind of. It was similar to, not similar to, in the same vein as Dracula Dead and Loving It, which was Leslie Nielsen and
Well,
Mel
that sounds
Mel
like
Brooks.
an adult spoof.
It was, yeah. It was Leslie Nielsen, Mel Brooks doing.
No, I mean an
Dracula.
adult spoof.
Oh, I see. As in,
Loving It.
yes, as a little bit
Strange
like,
title. Probably wouldn't get through
yeah.
the BBFC.
one of those specialist interest films, a bit like Oliver Twink, which is one of my personal favourites. And
Dear
he
me.
does at one point say, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" But we've
Well,
veered
you would,
well
wouldn't
off
you?
topic
You
here,
would.
haven't we?
Yes, we've gone from Bond to Death to
Yeah. Back to Wes Craven. I think the one that, like the first Wes Craven film I think I saw was probably the first Scream. And
well, I've only seen the fourth,
really.
and for me, it was a bit too stabby.
Well, I think see this is something that we're going to come on to, that I was thinking about coming on to later, but let's do it now. Yeah, sequels. It's a sequel needs to build on what's gone before.
Yes.
And I think for me, the Scream films they do actually do that, especially is it Scream 3, like the final part of the trilogy and that kind of thing, and they do it well. A good sequel builds on the earlier versions. Yeah.
Are you?
Sorry. Are you having a stroke? Can you smell toast?
I'm always talking about how Saw does this, and everybody's like, "Oh, Saw's just gouging out eyeballs, etc., etc."
That is what I say to you, yeah.
Saw builds and builds on the past. It layers its characters
Wonderful.
to the degree where if you watch Saw 6, you haven't the foggiest what's going on without having watched all the previous movies.
Well, I think that can be a bit of a downfall, but at the same time, it works because you build this canon of brilliant stuff. So you have
Exactly.
a good sequel always builds on what's gone before. Off the top of my head, Back to the Future 2. They set it up in the first one. Yeah,
it was
so,
kind of dealing with the previous movie
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah.
Empire Strikes Back builds on the A New Hope, and yet it takes it in a different direction. It ends horribly dark. Well, not horribly darkly, but dark and a bit. You haven't seen that, have you, Roo?
What?
I thought you pulled a face as if you're about to.
Oh, well, no, it's so long ago I can barely remember, but I have
Okay.
seen it. I've had to sit through that, yes.
Okay.
And if we're talking about TV that
Here we
builds
go.
off its past,
Go on.
and
Everybody
uses
ready?
it to slingshot itself into the future and tell more fantastic tales, you should, of course, check out the amazing cult sci-fi television show. In fact, the greatest science
Just
fiction
say it.
television
Just
show ever
say
made.
it.
Farscape.
There we go.
That's Saw and Farscape in just one quarter. I'm doing well.
Done. We've done very well. But yeah,
Yes.
and I think Wes Craven's very good at that. At not just cranking out a sequel that cashes in. If you want to talk about, for example, Vacation again, just cranking out a sequel that doesn't do anything new or interesting.
Well, I think 90% of sequels are cranked out for
Yeah.
cash.
But we could even, I don't think we've time now. We might have to come back to this on another show. How a reboot is a lazy sequel a lot of the time.
I was about to say that now there is a more terrifying beast lurking at the cinema, and it's not sequels, it's reboots,
Yes.
which are more of an insult, I think. Now, a lot of people would rather sit through a continuation of a story in the form of a sequel than have to sit through the origin story of Spider-Man for the 45th time.
And for example, like one franchise that sums up all of these things, and we've moved away from Wes Craven, and I feel bad. We're going to come back to him in a minute. Is the Terminator franchise? First Terminator film on its own as a single film, brilliant, scary, unstoppable robot thing coming to kill you. Looks like a person, can't die, brilliant.
Yes.
Then the sequel takes that and twists it, and robot thing is now the Guardian. He's the one looking after you, and that too. Brilliant, and and the bad guy in that one becomes scarier because he can do things that the original couldn't, like the liquid metal thing opening doors and stabby, all that amazing. Then the third one, the writers had some kind of stroke. I don't know what happened there. It went horribly wrong. The fourth one we don't even talk about. Let's pretend that didn't exist. So
It's always the fourth one.
yeah, well, the higher the number, usually the iffier
with
it
the
gets.
crystal
Apart
skull.
from Star Trek films, but we'll come back to that another day. 2, 4, and 6, brilliant films. Odd numbers, no. Anyway, I'm lost. What was I saying? Yeah, and then they reboot, and
No, but they didn't.
Oh,
Genocise, was, strictly
Genocise.
speaking, kind of a weird combination of sequel and reboot, which is the worst of all.
Yeah.
It's like you take what's good from a sequel and what's good from a reboot and stamp on it.
Yeah.
And then just
and whatever's left, you throw at the screen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to play some music from a scary movie. Can you guess what it is?
Oh, I haven't checked the playlist for today, so I can't.
Here's the name of it.
Go on.
No idea who you are.
Ooh.
That there is music from The Gift, which was sold to me as a bit of a horror, but turned out not really to be a horror, but it was kind of scary. It was kind of emotional, deep thought kind of movie. That was No Idea Who You Are by Danny Bensi and Saunders Jorains.
Do I need to change your batteries? Are you? Do you need a recharge?
Well, no, I was just trying to say it slowly so I didn't mess it up there.
How did that go for you?
I messed it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, emotional piece, kind of dark, kind of moody.
A little sinister.
Yeah. If you, that's the kind of track that you would want to listen to when you're taking a walk down sort of a country lane in a bad mood.
It's not, no.
In a bad mood.
Oh, right, okay. In the daytime, maybe.
You're sort of thinking, I need a break. I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to wallow in it. Here we go. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So you didn't see The Gift,
No,
unfortunately.
I haven't seen The Gift, annoyingly.
I would strongly recommend you go and watch it.
I was looking for it. I found it difficult to find in my locale over this week.
At the cinema?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
I thought you were talking about naughty places on the internet.
No. It would definitely go and support your local cinema, boys and girls. Do not torrent movies from the interwebs.
I thought you were going to say definitely go and support your local torrenting site. No, it's too many places to be able to get your movies legitimately these days.
That said, I couldn't find The Gift. I couldn't find The Gift showing at a time where I could make it. So no, I haven't seen it. So. Have you your 30-second review music ready? Because you're going to tell me all about it, and I'm going to just have to kind of nod and smile, I think.
Okay.
Are you ready?
One moment. Okay, so The Gift is about a man who was once bullied by another man at school, and so he's come back into his life. He's got a wife. The bully now has a wife and a lovely house, and the weird guy's kind of jealous, but he's not really too much of a threat. But they think he's a threat, and there's lots of tension. Is this guy a threat? We're thinking until it all builds, and the guy who was the bully. It's kind of a film about karma. Mistakes he's made in the past come around to bite him on the bum, and his life ends up kind of falling apart, much to the merriment of the strange chap.
Right. That sounds quite interesting.
Did that make sense?
It did.
It was definitely, for me, a film about karma. You can only get away with this stuff for so long before it's all going to start
biting you on the arse.
Exactly.
And who doesn't like being bitten on the arse?
Just about treat people nice. Treat others how you would like to be treated yourself.
Wouldn't it be nice if everyone was nice?
It would be lovely.
Maybe that should be our strapline for, are you sitting comfortably? Be nice.
Nice to be nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like Bruce.
Sure, you've not had a stroke because it's sounding more and more.
No, well, I think that the gift definitely got this message across, and then it sort of in the last, I'd say, 15 minutes. There was a clever twist.
Are we nearing spoiler territory?
Well, I was trying not to.
Okay.
But I will just in case.
Let's sound the spoiler horn. There it is.
Yes. Just in case.
So don't listen for the next couple of minutes if you
can't say that.
Oh, okay. Just put your fingers in your ears and hum. Don't switch us off, please.
Talk about yourself.
Don't go away.
No. Towards the end, there was it was a clever twist. It made me kind of feel like kind of punched in the gut a little. But then after that, it pushed that sort of cynicism a little too far, and it veered into Hollywood. What's it called when things get a little over dramatic, a little over the
melodrama.
Just a touch. Yes, it just veered into melodrama, just ever so slightly. Whereas before that, up until that point, it had been a very sort of understated and, as I say, intense movie because you just didn't know who was telling the truth, which character exactly was a threat, and then in the end, it all became a bit too obvious, and they should have, I think, left a few loose ends.
Okay.
Because then you really would have come out really having a big old chat about it. Kind of tidied it up a bit too neatly, I think.
It's always a shame.
Yeah.
It's nice when things aren't too... Woo, here's a thing we can talk about in a minute when we talk about Me, Earl and the Dying Girl.
Yes.
But yeah, it's nice when movies leave a little bit to kind of for you to think about. It's nice when the characters don't end when the story ends. You can see them continuing with their lives. You can imagine them going on and dealing with the stuff that's happened in the bit that we've actually seen.
Don't you also think that, going back to sort of our earlier Terminator chat,
I try not to think if I can help it.
That in terms of leaving space for your imagination and your own suspension of disbelief, CGI has come along and really taken that away from a lot of movies. In the old days, you'd get scenes where everybody would sort of come indoors and talk about the space battle they've just had, and you would have to imagine it. What you were watching, what was interesting in those days, was the repercussions, the emotions of the characters, how they're going to deal with what's just happened. You didn't need to sit through 15 minutes of space battle to enjoy the drama of it on a human level or an alien level or whatever.
No, I think, and back to Star Wars again. I think this is one of the reasons that Star Wars is so big and has such a huge following.
And indeed, one of the reasons why Farscape should be on a similar level of popularity.
There we go. There's two today. Well done. Is that it's nicely balanced. They have the sci-fi and the exciting explosions in space and the aliens and stuff moments, but then they have the real human stuff where there's actually characters that are complex and you can identify with, and they have arcs and they're interesting.
Darth Maul?
What, the spiky, the red and black cactus thing from the first one?
Yes, the red and black cactus. I was thinking, next time I do Fancy Dress, I'm going to have to go as Darth Maul.
Yeah, you could do
because I tend to go as bold villains.
Have you done? Oh, you won't have you done Dr. Evil?
No, but that's another option there. I acted as Dr. Evil in a school play once.
I'm unsurprised.
I've been expecting you, Mr. Powers. It's too high. It's like a Looney Tunes character.
That's a little bit terrifying. You reminded me a little bit of the
cat,
the bad guy from Who Framed Roger Rabbit there for a moment.
Yeah, that's another one I haven't seen.
Oh,
I know.
Anyway, I nearly said a swear.
I heard it coming. The gift. The gift.
Yes, let's get back to that. The point. There is a point here.
Is, in my opinion, a genreless film.
Okay.
You could call it thriller, definitely, actually. But you don't often get a film that's not really about... Oh, what am I trying to say here?
Not a clue, love. Sorry, carry on.
It's not doing anything obviously until that last 15, 20 minutes, as I say. It's not obviously a horror. It's not obviously a thriller. It's not obviously a drama or a romance. It's definitely not a comedy, but you know what I mean. You don't really know where it's going, what it's doing, what it's going to say. So I didn't see the trailer, so we have our opinions on how spoilerific trailers can be these days. Maybe we'll talk about that at some point. But I didn't see the trailer, didn't know anything about it, and I just thought I'm along for the ride. This is rare. It's it's not obvious to me where this is going.
And
refreshing.
I think that's nice.
Just chucking words at you.
Yeah, no, that's cool. You just opening the dictionary and flicking words at me, fine. No, I agree, and I think it's fun when you can when a film does keep you on the back foot, because then as it builds and you're like, where's it going?
Yes.
You're not. I mean, personally, subconsciously, I find myself kind of trying to outthink a movie and thinking ahead to try and work out what's going to happen next. And
and the gift kind of invites you to do that.
And then it pulls the carpet out from under your feet anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say pulls it. It sort of gradually just shuffles it away from you, and you're like, oh no, I was comfortable. And then you think, this is... Anyway, that's landing ourselves in spoiler zone. But when I first went into the screen, got in just a smidge late after the opening credits, Jason Bateman was on the screen, and I thought, I'm in the wrong I'm in the wrong cinema here. Like, he's usually a comic actor, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
But here, he was very good.
Yeah.
And I really believed that his character was who he was. What I mean is
good.
Good actor.
Yeah, he did the acting good.
He didn't seem to be relying on silly one-liners or like. He did have some funny lines, but he wasn't a two-dimensional character. Is what I'm saying. He had some layers.
Good. So, would you recommend it?
Oh yes, I would. Yes, I would.
Okay,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the best movie of the year or anything, but it's refreshing. It's very refreshing to watch, and of course a magnificent soundtrack.
Well, yes, and now, annoyingly, unavailable in cinemas. So we'll have to wait a month or two till the DVD release comes along.
It was a bit quick.
Yeah.
Just as I was hearing about the gift,
It was
Sort of
gone.
a week or 2 weeks later, it's gone completely. But were you told it was a horror as well?
I think you told me. So, but
that
again,
must have been from what I heard from somebody else.
But then I didn't see a trailer for it, and you and I, we go to the movies at least once a week, usually together.
Yeah,
and
there was no trailer.
No trailer.
No.
So.
It does dabble with the idea that it might be a horror. For instance, there's a scene where a lady's walking down a corridor in the dark, and you've got brooding music, and then silence, and then a dog jumping up and barking harmlessly.
Okay.
But it scares you.
Yeah.
But that's about it, really,
Right.
in terms of jumpy scares. Yeah.
I think, and just to bring this back to Wes Craven for a moment, I think there's a difference between messing with your head scary, which he does very, very well. It's all in your head. It's the stuff that you can't see.
Yes.
As opposed to
Cheap
boo.
Yeah.
And I think Wes Craven was very, very good. He would put in some jumpy scares, certainly, and there would be that, but it would be after this nice build-up, and things would get slowly worse and more terrifying and scarier, but nothing you could see. It was just this little feeling in your head that would get worse and worse and worse. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you mean. The best kind of cheapy jump scares are the ones where it's kind of relentless. So you get your cheapy jump scare, and you kind of go, "Oh, that was a cheapy jump scare," and then immediately afterwards there's another one, and you think, "Will this movie let me rest?"
But
you can't do that sort of more than once or twice in a movie. That's the trouble. You can't overuse the jumpy, scary.
Exactly. I can't remember. I can't remember what film I'm thinking of off the top of my head that just did jumpy scare, jumpy scare, jumpy scare. And after about 5 or 6, I just kind of went.
You become immune to it.
Yeah, I'm fatigued by this now. Like, oh look, more scare, more scare.
Especially when the jump isn't anything on screen; it's just the soundtrack.
Yeah, like
going.
there's some very tense violin music that's
exactly
kind of thing. Yeah.
No, what you want to do with a horror, which I think actually The Woman in Black did quite well.
Oh, yeah.
Is create an ominous mood. An uncomfortable atmosphere. Then when you do a jumpy scare, you're already on the edge of your seat, kind of thing. So you're jumping from an already uncomfortable spot. The Woman in Black 2, on the other hand, was awful.
Yeah.
Don't watch that.
Even The Woman in Black 1, I found I enjoyed the first half, the first 2/3, first 2 acts of the building and the building and the building. But then when it got to kind of the scarier bits, like the
scarier in quotation marks.
Scarier in quotation marks, right? We've done all the atmosphere in the building, and then we come to the jumpy scares and the kind of the climax. I hate that word. Ugh, it's disgusting. The orgasm of the film, as it were, in the final act. It was a bit
moist.
It was a bit soggy, I'd have said, rather than moist. It was just it didn't. It was kind of.
It became ITV drama.
Yeah, it let down the build up from the first 2/3 of the film. Was let down by shoddy, scary bits.
Yes, but the mood, the general mood,
exactly
was there.
The first 2/3 had me very much ruining my trousers and the sofa that I was watching it on.
Whereas films like Unfriended just don't set a mood at all.
They don't.
We're going to play a little bit more music from The Gift. What did you do? That's the name of the track. Yes, no.
You were looking at me as you said, I haven't touched anything.
Here we go. What a smashing score.
Rather dramatic, wasn't it?
Well, yes. As I say, a deep, thoughtful movie about comeuppances and repercussions of your actions and life and all that. Karma.
Stuff.
Etc.
Yeah.
And we're going to move on to talk about another meaningful, thoughtful movie in just a moment. But for the last half hour, we're going to be asking a question. Any ideas what that question might be, Scott?
I imagine that the question, if this is anything like our previous episodes, all available online to listen to if you haven't already.
Mixcloud.com/Roobox.
Yeah, or soundcloud.com/ELR comfortably.
Indeed it is,
What was I saying?
The question.
Who said that?
Who said this?
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
Who said?
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
Any ideas?
Well, yes,
Scott?
but then I chose it this week, so I do know who said that this time.
We're asking who said.
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
If you have any idea whatsoever, please do tweet us at ELR Comfortably on Twitter and use the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ELR Comfortably. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, that's pretty much our thing everywhere, isn't it? ELR Comfortably.
It's
yes. Handy.
If in doubt, ELR Comfortably.
Yeah. And what was I? Oh, I was going to say something about the... who said that? But I can't remember what it was. So let's move on.
All right, let's move on. Deep, thoughtful movie. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, which I keep accidentally calling My Name is Earl and Toe Jam and Earl and too many things with Earl in. Scott, are you prepared for a 30-second rundown of what it's all about?
If I say no, are you going to make me do it anyway?
Yes.
Excellent.
All right, here we go.
So, Me, Earl and the Dying Girl is about a boy who's getting through high school by keeping his head down and not really connecting with anyone. His mum makes him hang out with a girl who's just been diagnosed with leukemia just to do a nice thing, so he goes and hangs out with her, and it ends up being a really nice, fulfilling friendship between him and her. He and his friend Earl make films together, silly little films with suspiciously high production values, and so they decide to make a film for her because she's poorly and wants to get better. It's all about friendships and relationships and stuff.
It's really difficult to end before the bong, isn't it?
Well, I've never yet ended on the bong. It'd be nice one day just to really get it down to that 30 seconds.
Yeah.
But
I have ended before the bong before. and
Wow.
It gives you a hell of an adrenaline rush.
Does it?
Really does.
Wow.
Yeah. You'll
Good
never
for you.
forget your first bong. So yes, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. Should we play just a bit of music from it before we get stuck in to a proper chat?
Why not?
Or
We've kind of built up a little bit of excitement. Let's do it.
all right, let's do it. This is The Big Ship by Brian Eno.
That's-
Another Green World. That's the album it's from, by the way. Here we go.
And it's The Big Ship with a P, isn't it?
Yes,
Right.
Indeed, it is.
Jolly good.
Now that is the part of the film that's really, very obviously trying to make you cry.
I'm
but
not keen on that bit of music. I find it a
you
bit drony. I'm not a big Brian Eno fan, to be
Oh, I
honest.
like it.
Well, good. Someone should.
Well, I think the music is sadder than the scene it accompanied in the film. If only because, as you said in your 30 seconds, the real sort of burning question throughout the whole movie is the movie they're making for the Dying Girl going to be amazing, or are they going to give up on it, kind of thing? I thought there's no way that the movie can just show us a rubbish movie at the end of it. It's either got to be amazing, or they don't do it.
Time for another spoiler horn.
It
just
might
in
be
case,
time
yeah.
for another spoiler horn because, in my personal opinion, I didn't think the final movie that they ended up doing for the Dying Girl was any good, and I don't think that the makers of this movie knew exactly what to do with it.
No.
It's like they just suddenly forgot until the very end that they had to put something together.
I think
Because they were
perhaps-
showing them watching the movie rather than us being able to watch the movie. I was thinking, why can't we see this? It's like on Britain's Got Talent when they just show the audience rather than the act.
I would agree. I think perhaps they struggled in the same way that the main character does, in that he didn't know what to do with it and he remade it 2 or 3 or 4 different ways and didn't like any of it. I think perhaps they had the same problem with the movie with the movie within the movie that they were making.
It started off nice, and I had a lot of hope for it, but then it just descended into
Strange.
stop motion weirdness.
Yeah. However, you could say that about the film. I mean, there were stop motion moments within the whole film. Were things?
They were, weren't they?
Yeah,
actually?
with which was interestingly done, but I think, and they didn't go anywhere. And this is my problem with this movie almost entirely. Oh, hello. It was that it didn't really go anywhere. No one had an arc. No one kind of was changed. Well, maybe people were, but it just.
Well, somebody ended up very, very much changed.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, it's. I mean, it's.
It's in the bloomin' title.
Yeah, so, and also in the opening thing, he talks about the movie that literally killed someone. So
Yes.
So,
And then throughout, in his voiceover, he's telling us, "Oh no, don't worry, she's alive. She's
so
alive."
we don't know who's going to die at the end, and we'll leave that to the imagination of to those who go and see it.
Yes.
Perhaps, rather than giving away too many spoilers.
I think perhaps we oh, sorry, pardon me. That was a miniature horn there.
Oh,
I shouldn't
dear.
have pressed.
Well, I enjoy your miniature horn.
I beg your pardon.
But yeah, I just found that the main character was his whole thing was keeping his head down and getting through it and trying to get through school without doing anything, without kind of getting noticed by anyone.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, but he didn't. By the end of it, I mean, the things that he said he was going to do, he was going to keep his head down. He wasn't going to affiliate himself with any one group, which was a bit Mean Girlsy. I thought
It was very Mean Girlsy. I
but
thought
lacking the charm of Mean Girls in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't really go anywhere with that particular thread.
No,
there were
any of them really.
all the threads.
Yeah, there were a lot of all of the supporting characters had little bits of story, but nothing that really
Defined their experience.
Yeah, or kind of changed, like built on what they. I think they pretty much everyone walked out of the final scene with exactly the same as they walked into the first scene. No one really. I mean, the changing moment perhaps is the death of one of the characters, which is fine, but there was nothing. But there was no payoff, really.
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean?
think the payoff would come long after the movie, because you get the idea that our main character has perhaps changed his opinion on certain things, but there's no way of us knowing for sure until he's there, and unless they make a sequel,
God,
it's not gonna happen. So we don't really get to see any of the payoff. You're right, and as film as a visual medium, you'd expect that to be a vital ingredient.
And I think this it kind of, it's similar to what you were saying earlier about, leaving something for the imagination of the in that it's nice
Actually,
when a film.
this is a very good bookends, because we were just saying that films don't do this enough. So why are we moaning?
Because this one did it too much. It didn't give us. There needs.
We
there's
weren't
a balance.
filling in the gaps. We were making it up.
I think if you do a film where everything it ticks all the boxes and every single thing is tied up and nice and neat and it's a little package.
Yeah.
That's okay. I mean, it can still be a very good movie.
Yeah.
But and that's fine. But life is never that neat. There's always a few odds and ends that don't quite think. But then the other end of it, to go, oh well, this is a movie about life, and it kind of none of it really gets tied up, and all the people just carry on doing their lives, and things change over time. It's a little bit disappointing. If I want to see real life, I can go and have one. I come and sit in the cinema for a slightly different take, because it's essentially a storytelling medium, isn't it? And if you have no story to tell, or if the story you're telling,
and fundamentally stories involve a beginning and a middle and some form of end.
Whereas this film gave
resolution.
This film gave us perhaps the beginning and a lot of middle. It really felt like it was too long. It seemed to sag in the middle somewhere.
Yeah.
As well. But then there wasn't a lot of ending, apart from the very definite ending of one of the characters dying. But then I don't know whether you can count that as an ending, because the person that died, I don't know. I'm trying not to spoil it now.
It clearly had the film was obviously admiring its predecessors. Because they were remaking all these classic movies. Yeah. Classic movies I got to watch last year at university in European cinema, like 400 Blows and all that. Yeah. And actually, I watched The Conversation as well at university, which is basically a beige man walking about a beige landscape, wondering about what other beige people had said earlier. And that's a spoof. Actually, I've got a list here of the parody films. There was the complete lack of conversation, and the 400 Blows was the 400 Bros, and Apocalypse Now was a box of lips. Wow, tulips, a box of that sort of silliness. So it obviously, I mean, the director, what's his name? Here we go, director Alfonso Gomez Rejon.
Great name,
and it was a book before.
Was
as
it?
Well?
Okay.
Yeah. So obviously there's a passion there for great movies. I think it was trying to do that. But the thing is, those great movies were always doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They were unique, original. And I think if this was trying to be too much of a kind of a classic-y, kind of indie, culty kind of thing, it's always going to miss the mark because it's trying too hard.
Yeah, I think that for me, that would be pretty much the summing up of this movie. It's a good movie, but it tries too hard. It could have been a great movie.
Well, that scene with the music that we just played, well, I just sat there thinking, you're trying to make me cry. You're obviously trying. Like, just do it. Just do your lives of your characters. Actually, what you're saying about a film about life, in real life we all have arcs. We're changing constantly.
Exactly.
And that doesn't really happen in the movie, which means it's not a true reflection of life, to be honest.
Well, true. And yeah, and I think... in fact, I said this as we were coming out of the movie. I felt the payoff for what we sat through, for the long build-up, and it felt long. The emotional payoff that we got was a little lacking. There could have been more. I could have been in buckets of tears by the end of that film.
There was a moment where I clenched my jaw, but that was
cry.
it.
I had a little cry.
Did you?
I'm a big girl.
Were you crying about the incredibly loud girl next to you scoffing popcorn on an almost constant basis?
That was tears of fury. I really did just want to take it off her and throw it away, just down into the audience.
Do you think that she affected your enjoyment of the movie?
Yes.
Without the popcorn girl, you would have loved Me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
That's a bit strong. I think without the popcorn girl...
Me and Earl and the popcorn girl.
Yeah, well, quite. The soon-to-be-dead girl, because I'm going to stab her in the face. No, I think... but yeah, definitely, there was an emotional payoff that was very lacking. Again, we're talking about climaxes, orgasms. It was... All the build-up was... There was a lot of build-up. It tried too hard. And then it finally was mildly unsatisfying at the end, you know? Could have stayed at home and had a wank.
What, for the same outcome, you mean?
I do normally cry, yes.
Now, at our climax, we're going to reveal the answer to who said this.
Oh.
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
Who said?
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
We're nearing the big reveal.
Would you like a clue, listeners, as to who that might be that's talking right there?
I think we would.
Okay. Then I would say the clue for this is that the movie that this week's Who Said That is from is another teen coming-of-agey, angsty kind of thing. And interesting, very different take on things. In fact, almost the opposite take on things. But yeah. Let's leave it there. I'm not going to say any more because I will spoil it.
Well, before we play our next song, which is our final song, we will reveal the answer. But I wanted just to first to chat about perfect endings. Now, without going into too much spoiler territory here, do you think that if talk about TV, Breaking Bad...
Oh, I thought you were going to go to Farscape again.
No.
Okay.
Breaking Bad, in terms of what it resolved and what it left open, is, in my opinion, perhaps the perfect balance.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I felt bad for the guy sat in the safe house forever because no one was ever going to come back and lay him out. That amused me. The big black guy. I can't remember his name.
Oh,
yeah, they
yes,
put him
minor character.
Yeah, they put him in a safe house, and then everyone died. Everyone who knew where he was just died, and he never came back.
No. Well, except for him, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, that leaves a lot to the imagination. But
Yeah.
I thought that there was enough rounded up with one of our main characters, and enough left open with the other for it to be satisfactory.
Yeah,
and open-ended in equal measure.
I think. Yeah, I can see that. I enjoyed Breaking Bad, but I found it a little bit heavy. It started to believe its own hype a little bit. Yeah,
because it got kind of dark in
yeah.
places.
What was the phrase they used? I want to say Machiavellian, but that's not right. It was a little Kafka-esque in that things start to go wrong, and then they try to fix those things, which makes it worse. And then something they try and it seems that whatever they do, they're pretty much stuffed.
But it's not quite to the same degree as with Game of Thrones, where literally you just now we're on the what are we on? We're going to be in the 6th season next year, and I think we're learning as viewers really not to get our hopes up for the good
anyone.
For the good cause, the heroes, you know. Nobody ever wins. It's always the bad guys coming out on top. Everybody's dying, the bad guys and the good guys, but it doesn't seem like there's hope in that show. Whereas with Breaking Bad, I always felt like Jesse, he could,
somehow
make it through. Yeah.
I think, that's George R.R. Martin's thing is that everybody dies, and it's Fala Magulis, every man must die, and that's part of it's part of life, really. Life isn't always fairy tales and happy endings.
Brings us back round to my name and my me and Earl and the Dying Girl.
Oh yeah, which annoys me because it should be Earl and I and the Dying Girl, but that doesn't have the same rhythm to it.
Yeah, well, I think it should be me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, not me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's a bit like Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
It's too many of those.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Return of the Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
Would you recommend people go and watch Me and Earl and the Dying Girl out of everything that's on at the moment? Or would you rather people went and watched Vacation?
I would say go and watch it. It's a thoughtful film, but I think as we've said, it takes itself a little. It tries a little hard. It doesn't.
Oh, you were going to say too seriously, weren't you?
Yeah, but
I
then-
wouldn't say it does.
No, I don't.
If anything, it could afford to take itself a little more seriously.
Yeah, I think so. It's flawed, but it's worth a watch. I think. Yeah, I wouldn't watch it again, but I'm glad I saw it.
So let's reveal the answer
Ooh.
to who said this.
Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
Give us the answer, Scott.
The answer to that is, of course, that is Juno from Juno, played by the lovely Ellen Page.
There it is. Little pink plus sign is so unholy.
That ain't no Etch-a-Sketch. This is one doodle that can't be undid, Holmes Gillett.
And why did you choose that particular clip?
Well, I thought another teenage angsty movie, and I think it's inevitable that Me and Earl and the Dying Girl is going to get compared. It's going to get compared to Juno because that, again, teen angsty, but very different. The other end of the spectrum. There's lots of death. Well, there's death in the Dying Girl, and there's new life in Juno. See, and yeah, I think they're both good movies. They're both differently flawed, and I think they'll sit well together. You could pair them off as a
Two opposites,
a box set.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you want, talk about life and death.
Ooh.
If you want to hear a really good bit of soundtrack music,
Is this Farscape
No,
again?
listen to Michael Giacchino's Life and Death from Lost, I believe, season 1 or 2. That's a really nice piece of music. But unfortunately, we're not going out to that because I just remembered it off the top of my head now.
Do you know what else would have been an amazing piece of music to go out to?
What?
The Circle of Life from Lion King.
Yes, that would have been good.
But we're not doing that either, are we?
We've got to think of an opportunity to play
Oh.
that, squeeze it in somehow.
Yes.
Listen very carefully to future episodes where we'll be trying to play Elton John's The Circle of Life.
Circle of Life.
This is
Sorry,
this
I'm
is
sorry.
this is Harry Nilsson. Everybody's talking, which featured in Me and Earl and the Dying Girl during a spoof of Midnight Cowboy, which, if I remember correctly, was called 2:48 p.m. Cowboy or something.
It was.
Which was quite amusing.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure
Yes,
once
we're off.
more
Oh.
doing our thing.
Time goes so quickly, doesn't it?
It does. It just flies by when you're having this much fun. We'll see you in 1 week's time
and we're
this time.
Back
Yeah.
next Saturday for another exciting episode.
Of Are You Sitting Comfortably?
Yeah.
Back in full flow.
We are quite.
Take care.
Ta-ta.
Join us next week for another thrilling episode of Are You Sitting Comfortably?